Have you ever noticed that the more you try to be productive, the less you actually get done? You build the system, you block the calendar, you honestly optimize the whole stack, and somehow, by Friday, you've worked more hours, answered more messages, and finished fewer of the things that actually mattered to you. That's not a focus problem. That's not a discipline problem. It's a much older trap, and most of us walked into it without ever knowing it had a name. Today, let's just sit with the trap that's been quietly burning out the most committed workers in your office. The ones who care the most. The ones who build the spreadsheets, design the systems, and keep showing up early. There's a reason their version of burnout looks different from what most of us picture. And honestly, there's a reason it took so long to get a name. Let's start with the label you've probably been using: discipline. You've been telling yourself the issue is just discipline. If you were a bit more disciplined, you'd close the laptop earlier. If you were a bit more disciplined, you wouldn't be checking Slack at 10 p.m. on a Sunday. If you were a bit more disciplined, the optimization would finally start to work. But here's the part no one tells us. Discipline isn't the missing piece. Discipline is what got you here. The hours you've already put in, the lists you've already kept, the apps you've already downloaded. That's not the absence of discipline, that's a surplus of it, pointed at the wrong target. Discipline is what keeps you inside this trap. Here's the part most of us were never really taught. Productivity systems don't actually reduce your workload. They just reveal capacity, and capacity gets refilled. Honestly, the more you process, the more arrives. The faster you reply, the faster you receive. The cleaner your inbox, the more meetings someone schedules in the gap. You're not solving the workload. You're proving you can quietly handle more of it. And the system, your manager, your team, your own internal scorekeeper, is paying attention. In modern work, there's a concept called the efficiency trap. Writer Oliver Burkeman named it in his 2021 book, 4,000 Weeks, and it's worth sitting with for a moment. The trap is actually pretty simple. The more efficient you become, the more demand expands to fill the space you just cleared. You finish faster, so you take on more. You answer faster, so more people ask. You learn the shortcut, so the bar moves. The reward for productivity isn't rest. The reward for productivity is more work, often dressed up as trust. Berkman puts it directly. Becoming more efficient just makes you more rushed, and trying to clear the decks simply makes them fill up again faster. That's not a personal failing. That's, well, the design. Now, let's look at how this trap actually shows up in your week. Number 1. You've started measuring rest by what you owe afterward. You take an hour off and you immediately calculate the cost. You promise yourself you'll just make it up tonight. You schedule the break and then quietly resent it for not being more restorative. Notice what's happening here. Rest stopped being something you do. It became something you have to earn, defend, and pay back later. That's not laziness. That's a nervous system that's quietly forgotten what unconditional rest even feels like. Number 2, your tools have started replacing your work. You've got the app, the spreadsheet, the calendar block, the second app that tracks the first app. No judgment here. Most of us have done some version of this. But maintaining the system has quietly become its own job. Optimize. Optimize harder. Optimize until optimizing becomes the work. Researcher Gloria Mark at UC Irvine has been tracking knowledge workers for over 20 years, and she found that the average worker now switches screens every 47 seconds. The system was supposed to protect your focus. Now it eats the focus it was built to protect. Number 3, you can't quite tell anymore where your job ends and your identity begins. Chances are, the more productive you became, the less you knew how to actually spend a Saturday. The downtime feels itchy. The unstructured hour feels kind of wrong. You open the laptop just to check, And there it is. Work hasn't ended. You've just brought it inside with you. That's not really commitment. That's role engulfment, and it's one of the quieter ways the trap eats your life back. Number 4. The winds stop landing. You hit the deadline and you immediately move to the next one. You finish the project and you feel almost nothing. The promotion arrives and you spend the celebration dinner kind of refreshing your inbox under the table. Truthfully, the system isn't broken here. It's working exactly as it was designed to. The trap doesn't really reward you with completion, it rewards you with the next task. So you stop noticing when you've done enough, because structurally, there isn't an enough. If any of this sounds familiar, you're not lazy, you're not undisciplined, you're not failing at productivity. You were just handed a system that was never going to give back the time you put in. Most of us were never given permission to step out of it. We were never really given the language to name what we were doing. Most of us were optimizing before we even knew we had a choice. It's worth sitting with this for a second. The trap isn't the work itself. The trap is the belief that the next system, the next app, the next morning routine will finally be the one that buys you back your evenings. It won't. Because the trap doesn't break when you get better at it. It breaks when you stop reaching for the next tool. It's not quitting, it's clarity. Try one slow week. Just one. Not a perfect week, not an optimized one. Take a meeting off. Reply slower than usual. Leave the laptop closed on Saturday and notice what kind of self walks back into the room with you. So which version of the trap sounded most like your week? The rest with interest one, the tool maintenance one, the work as identity one, or the wins don't land one? Sit with that for a moment before you scroll. The others in the comments will get it, and sometimes naming the trap out loud is where it starts to lose its grip. We'll sit with this one together again next time. And in the meantime, take a breath. This one was quiet, slow, and maybe a little uncomfortable. But it mattered.